How's everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm joined here by Rocky Rants Cosplay, who you may remember when we talked about contact lenses and cosplay. How you doing tonight, Rocky?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Again, thank you for coming on.
Of course, really happy to be here.
So basically, as I mentioned, get to know that cosplay. We're going to be talking about basically your entire cosplay and convention experience, along with some advice and all that fun stuff. So to begin, what got you into cosplay?
So when I was in high school, I've always been that person who loves Halloween. So I think when I was in like ninth grade, I was trying to find a Mrs. Lovett costume because Sweeney Todd had just come out. And I came across the term cosplay and I was like, wait, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a costume, the things that come in bags and are made of not great material. I'm looking for something that, is closer to what is worn on screen. And I got kind of familiar with the world, but hadn't gone to a con or anything like that. And then when I was 16 years old, my friend Sarah and she convinced me to go to a convention that I believe doesn't exist anymore. It was called Anime Land Wasabi Con, and it was in Denver. It was a tiny, tiny little hotel
Well, I'm
con.
familiar with WasabiCon. We have one up here in Portland.
Yeah, I don't think they're related because I literally can't find anything related to what that convention was. And it was a 3-day con, but I think the grand total attendance, it couldn't have been more than 500 people. So it was teeny, itty bitty, teeny tiny. Um, and that kind of got me on the cosplay bug. And I went to a couple more conventions in Denver while I was still living there. And then I was lucky enough to go to school in California. And it just kind of took off from there. And it's been wonderful ever since. So I've been cosplaying now for about 13 years, which is bananas.
Well, congratulations that they call it on being a cosplay veteran.
Mm-hmm.
You've been cosplaying for 10 plus years, so you've seen the change. So you started cosplaying back in
20 2000
29?
yeah, that sounds right. 2009.
Wait, so
Yeah,
it's 2020. I have to do math here. 2023 minus.
13,
Oh, so it's
2010,
2010. My bad.
2010. Yeah, 2010. So a lot has changed. A lot has changed. When I was going to cons originally, it was the days of glomping and yaoi
Hey,
paddle
paddles.
and like you lost the game and just stuff that we don't really tolerate in the cosplay community anymore
No,
because it
the old convention
oversteps people's
trends,
boundaries.
or my one I remember seeing back at this con back in 2017. It was a Light and L cosplay from Death Note, and they were handcuffed together.
Yeah, stuff like that. It was, yeah. Cons have come a really, really long way. I remember the very first con I went to, I had like a digital camera, like a really bad, like point and shoot Canon that took like the grainiest pictures ever. And it was a mess. But like the very first cosplay I ever did was Silk Spectre 2 from Watchmen. The comic book version, not the
Oh,
film.
I'm familiar. Those. Speaking of, like we talked about briefly last, I think we talked about it. I actually don't know if we did. And she has some pretty like tall heels.
She's got some chunky heels. Thankfully, the I believe the book takes place in the 70s, if I remember correctly. So they're not like platforms, which is good because I'm not really good at wearing heels. But the reason I chose to cosplay that is number one, my friend Sarah, she was cosplaying Rorschach. And
Oh,
two,
are you talking about that version?
yeah, that's the version. That's the version I did.
Okay.
Um, I I chose it because I didn't have to wear a wig because the idea of a cosplay wig terrified me at the time. And I think with good reason because this makes me sound so elderly, but back in that day, it was really, really hard to find cosplay wigs or, information on how to style wigs, especially when you had no idea what you were doing. I could barely straighten my own hair on my own, like just by myself in general, let alone style a wig. So it's come a long way. But I still have that cosplay in my closet. I pulled her out for a Long Beach Comic Con a few years ago. So keep all my stuff.
It's a lot of yellow.
A lot of yellow, a lot of yellow.
Nice. So, what was your very first con like?
It was a whirlwind. It was a ton of fun. I remember the very first day I was so enthralled by just wandering around Artist Alley. And I remember the very first thing I bought at a con was this little itty bitty handmade Zuko plushie from Avatar The Last Airbender. Um I remember him vividly. And it was my other friend Tasha's birthday that day. So I literally left the con and went to go to her birthday. And I was I was just like, I need to go back and just be in Artist Alley. I just wanted to just sit on the floor and talk to people. It was the most welcoming and freeing environment I'd ever been in. And as a kid who was on the weirder side, and I'd been in a bubble of a school for like my whole life, I'd known the same group of people my whole life, to be able to get out of that bubble and just be myself was extremely freeing, especially at 16, when you're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to figure out what makes you happy and weed through the bullshit that is high school. Cons were a great little support system for that.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree on that.
Mhm.
And I also just saw your if with your permission, if I can show, I mean, I'll show a bigger
Of course,
picture.
if it's on my Instagram, it's okay to
It's
use.
really well done. I can see why you used your own hair too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
She's
what
still
kind
super
of
fun.
did you buy that or did you make that? What kind of material did you use for Silk Spectre?
So for Silk Spectre, the original one I did, because I am not good at sewing. I'm still not great. I have made a few pieces, but I actually really enjoy partnering with, individuals who know what the hell they're doing. So I did commission the over outer piece. I did buy the fabric myself because, I knew exactly what I wanted. I went to like this really weird specialty fabric store in Denver that was right by my house. And it was just like a bright ass yellow, like tulle organza kind of flowy light material. I have to take a steamer to it if I want to get all the wrinkles out. And then when I first wore it, I couldn't figure out the bodysuit situation. But thankfully, Victoria's Secret was selling a one-piece bathing suit that looked exactly like that. So I just wore that. And then, when I needed a refresh for college, because when that picture was taken, I had lost the bathing suit. I had no idea where it went. So I found another seamstress in Los Angeles, who
I
was taking
mean, it
commissions
looks
at the
again,
time.
and I'll show a comparison as I always
Yeah.
do, but it's pretty damn accurate. You can tell she's wearing a one piece suit underneath
Yeah.
that see-through yellow dress.
Yeah. And I worked the seamstress I worked with, she ended up also doing I cosplayed Irene Adler a million years ago. I don't think there's any photos of her um on
Irene
my
Adler?
Instagram. Irene Adler from Sherlock, to just date myself even more. But I was very self-conscious about, having something that went that low. So my seamstress was really nice in working with me and put in a lovely little modesty panel. That was still
Oh,
skin tone. So when you wear it underneath the yellow piece, you can't really tell,
wait, the
it's
Sherlock series or the Sherlock movie?
the Sherlock series, played by Laura Pulver.
Oh,
Uh,
bu-
yes, I did her white bolero jacket dress.
I'm
Wore
looking her
that
up
for
right
many,
now.
many years. I So all the photos on my Instagram I know are professionally taken photos once I started to become, friends with
Are
people.
you talking about this white dress right here?
Yes, that one. I wore that one. And then actually the very first con I cosplayed Irene Adler at, I happened to have a gray pea coat at the time because I was a giant Sherlock nerd. So I just wore that and I kind of did my hair awkwardly. There should be a like a long ago photo and then a an updated photo somewhere on there with like my cherry bomb of a million years ago when I cosplayed her. But uh yeah, I really enjoyed working with seamstresses. Oh God, oh God, it's so
The
grainy.
cr-
I
the
found a
cr-
photo, but it is
the cringe. You can show it
it's
if you want
not that
to.
it's cringe, it's that it is literally the lowest quality photo humanly possible. Because it's just oh God, the days of digital cameras. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but like
I mean, now everyone uses, if they don't use digital cameras, they now use Polaroids.
I know it's like it's coming back around, and I actually just bought a Polaroid um to be able to take Polaroid pictures. Oh my God, is that still low quality? Yeah, that's still stupidly low quality.
While you're
I'm
looking for
kind of bummed I didn't get as many, photos in her at the time because she
while
was really
you're
cool.
looking,
Here's a really really terrible photo.
I'll have, if you want, I can have you send it so people can
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at the
here's
bigger.
that terrible photo. I'm in the white dress on the end.
And you're in front of like a cruise ship by the looks of it.
Yeah, so I did a semester in London as
Oh,
a
so
part of my
so
college.
did you go to
That was at
Manchester?
MCM. That was at
Ah,
MCM London,
so
which
lucky.
was a very different experience than anything I had ever done in the US. The way that MCM runs their cons, maybe they run it differently these days, but when I went, it was the weirdest kind of disorganized experience I've ever had. They didn't have official panel rooms, they just had really, really tall pipe and drape cordoning off where panels were actually taking place. And there was no like organization to where the booths were. Like if you go to a convention, a big convention in the United States, there's usually your big name sponsors up by the front, and then it's slightly smaller vendors as you go further back in the hall. And then Artist Alley is kind of off to one side, and then you have small press off to another side. But there's a sense of organization and a sense of flow. And MCM was just like, we got two halls full of stuff. Go for it. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't even find like a program guide. I had no idea what panels were. I think they were all industry panels. I don't think there were any fan run panels. It was weird, but the people were absolutely lovely. But I did Irene Adler one day and I did Belle from Once Upon a Time another day. Um and yes, I did wear those cosplays on the
We did who
tube.
else?
Belle from Once Upon a Time.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so I did those two cosplays, and yes, I did bring them all the way from the United States. And yes, I did wear them on the tube going from basically the Wimbledon area to Canary Wharf,
Hmm.
which, if there's any people listening or watching who are in the UK, you know that that is a schlep and a half to get all the way there and all the way back in a full cosplay in public. So that was a fun test of my courage, I guess you could say.
Now a question I always ask when it comes to conventions.
Mhm.
For first time con goers, because I ask this in like separate questions. For first time con goers, what advice would you want to give for those con goers who wanted to go to the first convention?
For first time con goers, I would say wear comfortable shoes if you can. Take lots of water breaks. I know that's something everybody says, but you will get so dehydrated if you don't. And take a look at the schedule when it comes out, figure out what you want to do and prioritize the things that you absolutely, absolutely want to do. I mean, kind of treat it like a Disneyland or Disney World trip. Like you take a look at what's available, what's going on, and figure out exactly what you want to do. And, like when I go to conventions, the things that I prioritize for myself are getting photos, which it works differently here in the Midwest than it does in, say, a place like Los Angeles. Getting photos. I like going to gatherings slash group photo shoots, the ones that are just free and in the public that are set up by fandom. And I like shopping, and that's what I really enjoy doing. If there's something on the schedule that I really want to do, I make a note of it. I make a calendar reminder, a panel, whatever I want to go to, and I make sure that I go. But it takes a little bit of planning. But more than that, it's just go and have fun. You don't have to go in with a rigid plan. A con is as fun as you make it. And sometimes that involves walking around the dealer's hall a lot. And sometimes that's literally, joining a random conga line like headed by that like a Deadpool cosplayer with like 8 speakers on his body. Like just go with what's fun.
I can't argue with that.
And pack snacks. Oh my God, pack snacks. Pack snacks. Con food is so expensive. Oh my God.
And also, and this has been talked about, energy drinks are not food.
No, they're not. Energy drinks are not food, and you need to wear deodorant. You have to. You have to wear deodorant. I'm sorry.
As a friend of mine once said on a previous one, wash your ass.
Wash your ass. Wash your ass. I honestly, something that's also very helpful for me as a person with anxiety. At the end of the day, if I have had a long day, because if I'm staying in a hotel nearby, actually, even if I'm not staying in a hotel and I'm just driving back and forth from my house, I take, I let my friends know, especially if we're going back to the con later in the day, hey, I need a few minutes. And if I'm getting out of cosplay for the day, I will actually take like a 20-minute bath in the hotel room just to decompress, take a breather, shut the door, get a division between me and my friends who I'm spending all this time with, to just kind of recharge my battery so I end up not getting as overwhelmed during the convention as I would be if I didn't take, that breather alone time.
Oh yeah, no. Which brings me to my next question, kind of the same category. Advice for cosplayers going to their first con.
Brush your wig and iron your cosplays. You will look back at those pictures and you will appreciate the extra effort that you took to make your cosplay look as nice as it can. I see a lot of cosplayers who are very, very eager to just get out on the floor. And, I'm also one of those people, but taking that extra time to make sure that you look as polished as you can will make those memories even better when you look back on them. And on top of that, prioritize your mental health over everything. The con will be there next year if there's something going on with you. The con will be there next year. Your friends will be there. You prioritize yourself if you need to walk outside and take a breather, if you need to get off your feet for a while, if you need to go back to the hotel for whatever reason. Cons are just events, but your mental health is most important.
Oh no, your mental and your physical health too.
Absolutely. If you don't feel good in the morning, stay in, and it sucks. It does,
But
like
it's worth it because if you go, you're just putting more strain on yourself. I've like heard stories where cosplayers have passed out because they're on that. I mean, I don't get how cosplayers, and this is no disrespect to cosplayers, I don't know how you can go to how you do one convention, then like a week or two later, or even a week or a couple days later, you're going to another convention. Like,
That
how
was me in
and
Los
why?
Angeles. That
Huh?
was me when I lived in LA, mostly because there were just so many cosplay events in Los Angeles.
Anime Expo.
Well, there's AX, there's ALA, there's LA Comic Con, there's San Diego Comic Con, there's WonderCon, there's Anime Pasadena, there's Pasadena Comic Con. Like there's something every weekend in LA, and it can be involved and beyond, the official events. there are like cosplay get-togethers at like I went to like a few at Griffith Park where you go up into the old zoo enclosures, not in the for legal reasons. I never went into the old zoo enclosures that you're not supposed to go into at the old LA Zoo at Griffith Park, but if I did, take pictures there. You know,
For shame.
or shame, I know. I listened to park rangers when they told me to stop. That's what's important. But you know, there's something going on literally every weekend. There's beach events, there's hey, I'm getting a group together to go cosplay at a children's hospital. There's princess parties. There's like so much to do in LA specifically that it can get extremely overwhelming. And like that's something that I have actually enjoyed since moving to Ohio, that, you know, I pace my events out. You know, I can't afford to fly to LA every month and do a con out there every month, even though that's where the majority of my cosplay friends are. So, you know, I pick like 4 or 5 a year. That's good. If I need to scratch my cosplay itch, that's what TikTok's for. Which has been
Plus,
such a cool
you also
community.
got virtual conventions too.
Yeah, and there's virtual cons now where you can just sit in the comfort of your own home.
Thanks,
There's
COVID. You guys did
things
one
COVID.
good thing freaking right.
It's been so interesting to see how the cosplay community has adapted to things like COVID. It's
Oh
been
no.
so interesting to watch, just from like a historical perspective.
Oh no, I agree. I remember when like COVID hit, a lot of cons were canceled. People were either doing
Yeah.
virtual cons or they were doing closet cosplays on TikTok,
Yeah,
keeping
the
the
cosplay
hobby
community on
alive.
TikTok has just exploded because of it, and it's so much fun to watch. And I know it's not for everyone. Like, my good friend Tim, he's he's a delight. I love him. I like acting, so I really enjoy cosplay TikTok. I like doing little sketches and stuff. I like doing funny audios. Not really into the cosplay dances just because I'm not a dancer. But like my friend Tim, he's one of those people that is cosplaying for the love of the character and the love of the costuming, not necessarily to be that character. Because when you're at cons, and some people on TikTok may not realize this, when you're at cons, some people will play along, you know, if you call them by the character name or if you ask them in character questions, some people may play along. Some people may not. And you need to respect the people who do not want to play along, who do not want to, you know, act like the character. Um, there was kind of a funny story where, you know, someone came up to my friend when he was cosplaying Sully, and they were a Doctor Who cosplayer, very young Doctor Who cosplayer, and they were like, "Where's your door?" It's like, I don't have one. I'm a cosplayer. I'm not actually Sully. And then, you know, they kept hounding him about it. And it's just like, if someone doesn't want to play along, that's okay.
Be
That's
mindful
okay.
and respectful of that. Don't be a
Yeah.
as I've come to know the term gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're not cosplaying the character to the full extent like that you want them to. This isn't if you
Yeah.
want
It's
that
not
if
improv.
you want that kind of experience, go to freaking Disneyland.
Go to Disneyland, go to the people who pay for it. Don't, you know,
Don't harass
there are people who
cosplayers.
are going to play along. Like, I'll play along when I'm in cosplay because it's fun. Also, I have a tendency to cosplay really bitchy characters, so it's really easy for
Cherry
me to.
Bomb, for example, or Riddler.
Cherry Bomb's a little more bubbly, so she is a little easier to play along, but like Husk, I can kind of snap back at people. But people get a giant kick out of it, so it's like cool. Love that. Crowley, same thing. Uh, but yeah, if someone doesn't want to play along, like there's no harm, no foul in that. Just know, you know, you can put yourself out there like that, but people may not respond that way, and always be respectful.
No, I completely agree. 100%. Um, let's see. You already told me what your first cosplay was, which was Spectre, right?
Silk Spectre, yes.
Silk Spectre. I'm just trying to write all the
Oh yeah.
names I forgot. Silk Spectre, Cherry Bomb. I already wrote that one. I can't remember who else we.
Done. Okay. I've done, going from newest to oldest, I've done Cherry Bomb,
Hmm.
Husk, Crowley. I've done 3 versions of the Riddler from Batman. I've done Judy Hopps, Mabel Pines, Bill Cipher.
Well, we'll actually.
Yeah, I've done a lot.
Yeah. What actually brings me to another question before we talk about your
Yeah.
cosplays. So I saw your Mabel Pines from
Yes. Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls. Thank you.
Mhm.
Where did you get the brace teeth for Mabel?
I made those. I made those. I am not good at sewing, but I have found I really do enjoy making the little pieces of cosplays. I enjoy making, little necklaces. I enjoy making horns and hats and stuff like that. So my braces are actually thermoplastic fitting beads. You can buy them through Warbler. You can find them online. They're little itty bitty pellets, and you kind of get like a little clump of them, and you put them in hot water and you swish them around, and they form kind of like a
Oh,
putty.
just like with the teeth.
Yeah, and you form them to your teeth, and mine formed I formed mine like a retainer. And while it was cooling, I take a toothpick and
Hmm.
I press them into my teeth to get those individual teeth divots. So when I'm smiling, it does look like my normal teeth. Once it's completely set, I just pop it out of my mouth. Again, it sits in there like a retainer. If you have an old pair of Invisalign that you don't wear anymore, but still fit your mouth, you can also use that. And then I glue earring backs to them, and then I put just a piece of wire because it'll snap into the earring backs just like regular braces. And it's a mouthpiece that I just can pop in and out for photos, and it's super easy to wear. It's super easy for me to talk in them. I have a little bit of a lisp, but I've made them like 3 or 4 times now because they get gross, and also they need to just be reformed sometimes.
Now, have you ever done Mabel's version where she bedazzles her face?
I have not bezazzled my face. I want to. I haven't worn Mabel in a very, very long time, mostly because I like to wear her in a group. So like my friend Tim will do Stan, and then I have another friend who does Dipper occasionally. So I like to do like a full trio. If it's just myself, but I want to cosplay from Gravity Falls, I'll usually just do Bill, because Bill can kind of stand on his own 2 feet and be his own character. But I should bring Mabel out again because she's easy. She's an easy Sunday cosplay.
So now, we're gonna talk about your cosplays, and I'm actually gonna also ask some new questions. I'm going to
For
ask
sure.
few in the future to other cosplayers. So, what's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back that we haven't discussed so far?
Oh my God. I haven't worn Belle in such a long time, and I really, really, really want to wear her
That's
again.
the other character we talked about
Yeah.
earlier.
I have her still in my closet. She needs a little bit of patching. But I'm actually planning on wearing her to GalaxyCon here in Columbus, because Colin O'Donoghue from Once Upon a Time, who played Captain
Oh
Hook,
my God! You know
is
what? I'm
actually going to
not
be
gonna
a
lie.
guest.
It was
Yeah.
this version.
Yes, it is that version.
I
Actually,
honestly not gonna lie. I love this version.
funny story about that picture in particular. My husband saw that picture just like because we were both like we both follow like their Instagram and stuff like that.
Stalkers!
Um,
Stalkers!
he was scrolling, oh absolutely, and he was scrolling through and he's like, when did you take this picture? I'm like, that's not me. It's like, oh shit, sorry.
It's like a wait. It's kind of a wait. What moment?
Yeah, because like if you scroll like way 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 back. But I love that costume. I that was the first big costume I ever commissioned. That was a lot more complicated than my Silk Spectre. And I remember I love it so much. I remember going to D23.
This one, lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. So you can see that some of the tailoring work that I did on it, um because it used to not fit well. Um but I remember I wore it to D23, and uh I think they were hyping like their fourth season or something ridiculous. And the costume designer was there, and he happened to be walking in when I was waiting for friends, and he complimented me on it and said I looked very very close to it, which was like one of the best cosplay compliments I've ever gotten. And I still think about that from time to time and still like kind of ride the high of it. But she's a lot of fun. I've grown so much as a cosplayer since I first wore her a million years ago that, I'd like to try and do that style again and do her more justice.
Now, have you ever made your own cosplays before?
I have. So I actually this past year, D23 again. Tim and I competed in the Masquerade, which is the D23 Expo version of a masquerade.
Nice.
We did Star Wars versions of Ralph and Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph.
Star
Uh,
Wars.
so I actually give you just a second. I have my helmet in here somewhere. Where did I put that? I can't find it right now. Oh, here it is. So what I did is
Oh, it's a
I
pod racer.
took,
It's a pod racer helmet.
I took Anakin's pod racer helmet. I found it on eBay and I painted it like her racer.
That is really cool. So real quick, it's a question I always like asking when people actually bring their cosplays up.
Mhm.
How long did that take to paint for Vanellope Skywalker, as I'm going to call it
It
now?
took I think it took about 6 hours. It would have taken longer, but I have an airbrush. So I did all of the large swaths of color just with my airbrush. And it only took like 10, like an hour and a half or so to get all those.
You guys also did Monsters Inc. Star Wars.
Yeah, we did. We did Boo and Sully. So that's my Padawan Boo. I made sure I had like the little braid and everything. But with Vanellope, because she is a racer, I didn't want to go the Jedi route. I wanted to go the pod racer route. So I modeled her entire outfit off of Anakin's in episode 1. Took a lot of viewing of episode 1 to make sure that I got the style right, because like if you look at the it's not Tapper, it's not Obi, it's like basically the teal part of the costume. It doesn't have a dicky or an under
Yeah, you
vest
said
at all.
Dickie.
I know, right? It doesn't have an undervest at all because Anakin's not wearing an undervest at that time. He's just wearing his shirt. And it's only fastened in a couple places. And he has a necklace on. Um, Initially I really wanted to do like these little tiny resin lollipops
Here's
to get that
and I'll show a bigger
line
picture again.
effect. Mm-hmm. And then Tim ended up making the belt to look like those sour candy belts. And we
You did
took
a good job.
thank you. And we did the heart, the You Are My Hero heart that gets broken. And he has half on his belt and I have half on my belt.
That's adorable.
So that was that was a lot of work.
So that was basically, you would call that like your big project cosplay then.
That was my biggest project cosplay I've ever done because I tend to enjoy piecing together my cosplays. Like even my Mabel cosplay, like I searched for weeks to
By the
find
way,
that sweater.
good use of the earring pins for the braces.
Oh, thank you. But like I searched for weeks to find the right kind of like pink turtleneck sweater.
It's not easy to find, and
I got it on a Japanese website that
ooh,
didn't have a Google Translate button on it. So oh my God, it was a mess. And then I fabricated the shooting star onto it. But like it took so long to find that. And then with Vanellope, the funny thing is I had a wig for Vanellope, but it was manufactured incorrectly. So after I styled it, it didn't fit on my head
oh no.
at all. So that hairstyle with the bumper bangs and just the high ponytail of my own hair was a last minute panic fix. That was not what it was supposed to look like. I did a whole ponytail wig with like a detachable ponytail and everything. and the wig was just manufactured incorrectly. So instead of having an elastic back to make room for, my skull, it was hard lined all the way around with a hard seam. So it ended up fitting more like a yarmulke than a wig. So that was a hot mess that first day.
Oh, I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah.
So next question. What's that? So I call them one and done cosplays. There's a cosplay you did once, you've never done it again just because whether it just didn't fit the vibe, a friend asked you to do it, or you were curious. Do you have one of those? Do you have a cosplay in that?
I have two of those actually. One of them, and they use the same wig. One of them is Buttercup from Princess Bride, which is one of my favorite movies, like ever.
And she's got
And
some long blonde hair.
she does have some long blonde hair, and it's so I have this beautiful full lace wig that I was gifted for Christmas one year to go with the dress. And it was like the first wig I really tried to style. I got really frustrated with it. The contacts weren't working. The first time I wore it, it was hot as all
What
get out.
you are allowed one F word, by the way.
It's hot as all get out. I'll save my F word. And I wore
And
it during
lace fronts are can be very sweaty. I know from experience.
yeah, they can be sweaty. I didn't know what I was doing. I know a lot more now, so it's not as much of a stressor now. Because like I wear a lace front for Husk, so like I slap that shit on and off super easy now. But I just haven't worn her since. And I think it stems from, she's not me. I don't really relate to the character that much. I honestly relate more to Inigo than anyone else in that movie.
So like Riddler.
Yeah, exactly. Quippy, fast talking, snarky. Uh, so wearing Buttercup, while it's fun, I just didn't really know how to pose with her.
It was just meh.
Yeah, it was okay. Like I keep the dress because I love going to Ren fairs, so I'll probably wear her for Ren fair purposes. But like it just didn't feel right. And then the other one that I've only ever worn once, and that's because my lovely partner in crime lives in California, is I did a femme version of Bill S. Preston Esquire to my friends Ted
Who?
Theodore Logan. There are pictures of that somewhere.
Bill who?
Bill Preston and Ted Logan from Bill and
Oh,
Ted's
Ted, excellent
Excellent
adventure.
Adventure.
I saw that. I also saw, and you actually cosplayed one of my favorite characters. I saw you did a femme version of Joe from Skate the Infinity.
Yes, Joe is one of my newest cosplays. I've only worn him twice at
He is on my list, but I want to do
so much fun.
his restaurant look.
His restaurant look. The funny thing, oh, that's another one that I've only done once. I did Megumi from Food Wars once. So I have all those
I've watched Food Wars, and it was like never in my life have I seen where excellent food makes someone rip off their clothes.
I mean, you know the reason for that, right?
No.
The artist who does Food Wars, who created Food Wars, he got his start in the industry doing hentai. So that's all he knew how to do.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to bleep that word out.
Spicy Japanese anime. He did the
There
spicy
we go.
spice.
I'll
So
still bleep
he
out that part, but we'll say the spicy Japanese anime. If you know, you know. If you don't,
so that's what he did for many, many years. So that's
of course.
why Food Wars is the way that it is.
I haven't finished Food Wars, but I'm like, I watched part of it on Crunchyroll. I'm like,
It's so much
what
fun.
the hell am I watching?
It's fun. It's a fun time. I've been meaning to do the girl in the I forget her name. The girl in the American flag bikini, the butcher.
Of course.
Is
that a dream cosplay?
It is because I'm a butcher. That's my day-to-day job. So I just think it would be really fun to do her because, I'm a butcher. She's a butcher.
I'm looking her up. I don't think I can show pictures.
Probably not. I can wear it to like Colossal Con because it's basically a bathing suit.
Yeah, I mean I can describe it. Short shorts, tall brown boots, and a flame bra that kind of reminds me of Yoko Lindner's outfit bra from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much
Okay.
it.
Okay, yeah, I see. She has also different versions too. She
Yeah.
has the one where she's wearing a white a white half uh, yeah, words are hard.
Words are hard and she is pretty.
I
But yeah,
mean, you're not wrong.
but yeah, I've wanted to do her for
Her name is Ikumi Mito.
yes, yes, her. She's yeah, she's definitely a cosplay that I've wanted to do. And the longer I've been a butcher, the more I want to cosplay
I
her
mean, you're
because
gonna have to find a short blonde wig for her.
oh yeah. I'm not too I mean like I'd probably get the same wig that I use for Judy Hopps and just style it a bit differently, obviously blonde,
And yeah.
and just kind of style it a bit differently, but like it's a really easy hairstyle, especially compared to like stuff I have done since, like my cherry bomb wig. That like I'm not too intimidated by it
And
anymore. And
it's a cherry bomb wig, the biggest wig you've worn.
cherry bomb wig is the biggest wig I've worn. It's the biggest wig project I've ever done. She's a lot. She's a monster. Um, yeah, she's the most intimidating wig I've ever done, and the one I'm definitely the most proud of.
Nice. So what's been your so out of all the other so aside from the other cosplays we discussed, what's been your other all-time favorite cosplay?
I love wearing Bill Cipher. I love
We talked about
love
Bill Cipher.
I love my Bill Cipher. I've been wearing that
Nice.
since 2015.
And I imagine he's had quite a few alterations as well over the
Not
past eight
really.
years.
Not
Really?
really. No, he's pretty much the same. I still wear the same corset. The only thing that's really changed has been the pants. It's a constant struggle to find a pair of pants that works with a corset. But like the coat, that coat is my baby. I love
you've had that yellow tailcoat since 2015.
I've had that yellow tailcoat since 2015. I only dry clean it. It is my
So
baby.
you've had that for 8 years.
I
And
have.
what about the yellow wig?
The yellow wig I've gotten a new one, and I've been meaning to make a new hat now that I understand how to do like magnets to attach hats to wigs. And
I've seen people do that.
yeah. So, I want to be able to do that because the hat that I wore for majority of the time has like two alligator clips that you have to like shove
Oh,
into
I've
my
seen
head.
people having like shove like the clips in when they do like a Hatsune Miku or any character that has
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
long
the big sharp ones that just like I need you to poke this through my wig cap and embed this into my skull so it stays on. Um
just drill it into your skull. It's like, okay, it's stuck, it's perfect, it can't come out now.
yeah.
You're stuck with that hair.
Yeah, but like, that the hat, the bow tie, the pants are really the only things that have changed. When I first wore him, I wore gloves. I wore black gloves, but now I wear these sharp uh black fake nails, which give a little bit more of a menacing look.
I've seen people wear for like Catwoman or
Yeah.
demonic type characters.
Yeah, and they're fun. I can't really do anything with my hands while I'm wearing them, but they're fun. And the contact is fun. The everything about it is just such a good time, and I love people's reactions to Bill that, is the reason I keep wearing it because, it makes me just super happy to wear.
And there is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I've
So,
been meaning to do a big photo shoot in like the woods somewhere. Maybe I'll drive down to Appalachia.
or you can
Maybe
always come to Oregon because that's where it takes.
I could. It's easy.
So funny enough, I don't know if it's still open, but not far from where I live, there is a house of mystery.
Is it the mystery? No, the mystery spot's in California, isn't it?
There's also one in Oregon too.
Yes. I love that kind of stuff so much. I love kitschy roadside shenanigans. They're just
Mm,
a fun time. That's why I like
nice.
that. I think that's why I enjoyed the show as much as I did. That, I've cosplayed two characters from it. I actually got my husband to cosplay Ford, young Ford with me. And he is not a cosplayer,
Oh,
but
Stan's brother.
yeah, Stanford. Yeah. He cosplayed the young version of it. We took some vaguely shippy pictures, but it was just fun.
There's nothing wrong with your partner not being in a cosplay, but as long as they support it, that's all that
Oh
matters.
yeah. Yeah, no, my and I'm so grateful. I have a partner who's just like he always keeps his eye out for when I'm doing new cosplay stuff so he can, make sure I eat when I'm putting stuff together.
Oh, yeah,
But
no, because you get so to the zone that's like, oh wait, why is my stomach rumbling? Oh, I need to eat.
yeah.
You
The
just keep
sun
on
was
sewing.
up when I started working, and now it's not.
Um, now, so you said Akumi is one of your dream cosplays. What are
Mhm.
your other four dream cosplays? Since I usually like asking people what are their top five if they have some.
Oh goodness. I really want to do Merida, but Merida from
Once upon,
Disney's Mirrorverse, which is a phone
oh,
game.
I'm familiar with from. I thought you were gonna say from Once Upon a Time, but that's basically the same look from the
It's the
movie.
same outfit. That's when the writing got lazy. Um that show went so many places. Um
We gotta
yeah,
remember. You gotta remember Disney took over around that
I mean
time.
Disney always had it because it was on ABC, which was owned by Disney. So it was always Disney's property, which allowed them to
So
use all that stuff
I'm looking up her. I've seen
from
like
Mirror.
I've seen like clips of it.
They're all the outfits in Mirrorverse are so cool.
It's like it's basically, and I hate to. Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and I'll show people a picture. But that, yeah. So that wig, oh
She's a
frick,
beast. She's a beast. She's a beast, but I want it so badly. I also would like to do
is that bear fur she's wearing on the back of her cape?
yeah,
And that's a big. Oh, the bow though. That is
the
gonna be
glowing
interesting.
bow. I know. I
That's
want
gonna
it.
be like either you're gonna have like LED
That's an
glow.
LED project for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, Another dream cosplay I really want to do is uh Beelzebub from has been from not from has been from Hell of a Boss.
I was gonna say
She,
I've surprisingly seen um
I've seen a few really, really incredible
oh
ones.
yeah.
What I really want to do is I want to figure out a way to get LEDs into a wig so that the back part of her hair glows.
Oh yeah. I've seen a lot of people do a good version. I
Mhm.
haven't seen any bad versions of
No,
B from Hell of a Boss.
yeah,
And I know she's got doesn't she also have like four arms?
she does have four arms. I'm not sure I would do that. Like I know a lot of Angel Dust cosplayers who don't do the four arms
No,
because
same.
it's a challenge and a half.
I know,
Um,
yeah, no, definitely.
but I want to do Beelzebub because I feel like that would be a fun LED project. I know I could figure out a way. I'm still not sure how to get the lava lamp effect
I
on
mean,
the app.
you can convince your partner or friend to cosplay as Gabriel,
Oh,
not
I
Gabriel.
also want to do that. I also want to do that because season 2 of Good Omens just dropped. So maybe I'll do two Beelzebubs. Um,
Oh, that's right, because they changed the actor, huh?
they did, but like spoilers for Good Omens. Beelzebub and Gabriel were just so cute in season 2 that I'm just like, I want to do that. They're adorable. And I really
And
enjoyed
plus, John
Beelzebub.
Hamm does a great Gabriel.
John Hamm was having the best time of his life, and you could
I
tell.
mean, he had I think the last time he played in a TV show was the one that took place in the 60s. I can't remember the name
Mad
of
Men.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's
He has the type of character.
oh yeah.
Granted I would still love to see him play in a future Batman movie or TV show, but
Oh
that's never going to happen.
yeah, he'd be fantastic. And then I mean, like those are the big three. I know I've got Crimson from Hell
Oh
of a
yeah,
Boss.
we talked about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So I'm very excited
I can't wait to see you
about
do
that.
the gold tooth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
I've
just
already got
basically, I'm just saying, I'm just, and I don't at many people. Crimson is just an older version of Moxie, if you really think about it.
he is.
Boy,
I'm super
he's freaking voiced by Richard Horvitz too.
oh
Come
yeah, no,
on.
and you can tell Richard Horvitz is like, this is the best thing of
But
my
he had to
life.
like change his voice just a bit. But
Just a bit,
every time I hear
just enough.
Every time I hear Richard Horvitz voice, I can't get the thought of he voiced Zim and he voiced Billy from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. That's all I
I
hear.
always hear Daggett.
Who? Oh, from Two
Daggett
Angry
from
Beavers.
Two Angry Beavers.
And if you're a video game fan, he's also the voice of Rasputin from Psychonauts 1, the VR version, and 2.
That man has just coasted by on This Is My Voice, and I can pitch it higher or I can pitch it lower.
Oh yeah, I remember that documentary which was created by John DiMaggio. Sorry, I like bringing my other segments into
Oh yeah.
this because it makes it more interesting. But no, Crimson would be cool to see. What do you think the hardest? Which actually brings me to this question, and I've never talked about this about future cosplays in a while. What do you think the hardest part would be for Crimson from Hell of a Boss? Would it be his horns, or are you going to do shoes or hooves?
I'm planning on doing shoes simply because I've got messed up feet and I'd rather be comfortable. And the hoof thing is difficult. Also, he does wear shoes. They are red tipped, but they are
Ooh,
shoes.
I have seen red tipped shoes because I found shoes similar
So
to his when I was looking up to do a fancy Deadpool.
yeah, so like they do exist. Honestly, I think the hardest part for me out of any cosplay isn't necessarily finding all the pieces and finding a way for it to work together. The hardest part for me for any cosplay is figuring out the physicality of the character and how to pose and how to not feel awkward when I'm taking pictures. That's why I don't cosplay Buttercup anymore, is because, you know, I couldn't, she doesn't have a whole lot of physicality about her. But, you know, Crimson is very,
I mean,
has a lot of physicality.
I also think the hardest part was just the tail. He's got that zigzag.
He's got that weird zigzag tail. Also, the cuffs on his jacket, it's not his shirt, it's his jacket, which is a very weird thing. Because it's not his shirt peeking out from underneath because his shirt is red if you look at
It,
his where the buttons fasten.
it's part of the jacket.
Yeah. So it's a weird kind of thing. I'm really excited. The colors are weird, finding a pinstripe pattern that is going to work, you know, all that sort of stuff.
You
Complicated.
may have to get the his top and his pants uh commission
They'll have to go from two different sets for sure. And
because
also,
his pants have like the red pinstripe and his jacket is like a dark blue with red pinstripes.
mhm.
Like the makeup
And
and the wig and the horns and the hat. I mean, you can get away with the red fedora with the red band without the white stripes.
oh, absolutely, you can paint those on. Those are easy. And the hat and the horns can be one piece.
And he's also wearing fingerless gloves too, I believe.
He is. The biggest thing for me, um, I am a huge mob history nerd. So when I look at that outfit, I'm not just looking at, you know, oh, it's a mobster pinstripe outfit. There are defining characteristics that put it in the 1930s, 40s for the way his pants sit, the way his jacket sits, you know, the tailoring choices that are made. It's very definitive of a specific time period. And so a lot of the things that are available on market today or on patterns today aren't necessarily in that style. So that's an additional little search because I'm a nut job when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Ah, it kicked me out again. My computer needs updating too, so we're gonna wrap this up here real quick just so this doesn't kick me out. So now so what cosplays do you plan on doing this year to finish out this year?
To finish out this year,
Because
I think
so mind you, this podcast will come out in September.
September. So the cosplays I plan on doing this year, I believe Crimson is my last new one that I'm planning on
He's
doing.
gonna
I
be
did
a pretty decent sized project too.
he's gonna be a big debut. And Joe was the other one I decided to do this year. My husband and I are getting a puppy, so we've been
Oh,
putting our finances more towards that than
okay. When you get the puppy, you got to do a cosplay with the puppy.
oh, I will. I'm very excited. We
What,
get
if
to
you don't mind me asking, as a podcast exclusive, what kind of puppy are you getting?
we're getting an English Labrador. The reason that we are getting a puppy from a breeder is because I already have a cat who I showed you guys
Yeah,
when
your cat.
last
What's
time.
your cat's name again?
Artemis.
Artemis.
So the reason we're getting a puppy is she had a litter before we got her. So she's really maternal, and you know, we feel it's would be safer for her and for just, you know, everybody in the house if we get like a puppy that, you know,
Oh man,
maybe
no,
coming
no, I wholeheartedly
trailers.
agree. I can't wait to see what cosplays you plan on doing with the puppy, though.
Oh, trust. I'm gonna put this dog in so many clothes because Artemis will not wear clothes. I put her in a
So,
pumpkin outfit once, and it took her about
oh,
10 seconds to wiggle out of it.
so Crimson will be your pretty a pretty big.
Crimson,
He's gonna be a big. He may be the one you probably only do for this year because he's gonna be a big project.
he's gonna be a big project. That tail's gonna be one hell of a
The
project.
suit is
And
not gonna be cheap either, especially since you're gonna have to
oh,
do two pieces.
yeah, it'll be a time, but I'm really excited to wear it. GalaxyCon also, Richard Horvitz is also coming to GalaxyCon, so that's why
So of course you're gonna.
that's the deadline. So
Are you gonna? You should have him. You should have him sign the hat.
oh, I probably will have him sign on like the inside of the brim with like a silver marker. Um, so I have that because that would be just be me. But I'm excited.
Nice. So now my favorite. This is probably my all-time favorite question for anyone who's been watching this series since the beginning, since I started it. Cosplay convention horror stories slash awkward what the hell moments.
Oh my god, I have so
Basically,
many.
something whether something that happened with your cosplay, something that happened at a convention, or it's just something that made you go, "Did that actually just freaking happen?"
Okay, so mine is from when I was a staffer at a little con in San Diego called Anime Kanji.
I've heard of that. I don't think it is
Mhm.
anymore.
It does still exist. So what happened is Anime Kanji existed as its own thing, and then it was purchased by the Society for the Promotion of Japanese Animation, which is the same company that runs Anime Expo. I believe they owned it for about 4 years, but only ran it for 3, and then they sold it to somebody else. So I'm not sure where it is now, but at the time it was run by SPJA, who I was working for. We set up a it was Easter weekend. So we had set up
Ooh,
a
busy weekend too.
it is we overlapped with WonderCon at the time. So
Ooh,
we had a very small
you,
small attendance, which is fine.
you were wrapped with a big con. Ooh,
Mm-hmm. So we had an Easter egg hunt planned, and that was
oh,
the only Easter thing that we did.
that's nice.
This is gonna be a little bit of shade to um I can't even pronounce his last name now because I mock it so often. Him, he came up to us early in the weekend and was like, I want to have an Easter service. And we're like, no, you can't do that. This is a con.
You may want to bleep out the name just so because there are some people who are still.
So this guest, this guest,
I'll just cut out the other part.
yeah, that's fine. So this guest that said he wanted to have an Easter service posted on his social media that morning that he was doing it himself, commandeered a room that we did not have, and posted his own signage for it.
So basically, he wanted a church service.
Yeah, that's what he did without telling us or getting approval from the convention or, all of that, which put the con at a huge liability because like we didn't have that room.
not to mention the budget that would
The
that could,
budget, like, we didn't know if like he was gonna charge us for like his presence, because that's a thing with guests, you have to charge them they charge an appearance fee, and that's
so
fine.
and sometimes guests go for free.
Sometimes guests come for free, sometimes guests are just like, I just want a badge, but like there were so many variables and so many things that could have gone wrong, especially with allegations that came out about this guest like literally 6 months later. There were no staffers in the room. It was such a weird thing
You
that
guys
we were
could
doing.
there's a chance if you guys could have gotten sued if someone gotten hurt or if something
Exactly.
happened and just in general.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my first con I had ever staffed. So I was like,
Oh,
oh,
that's not a good experience if that was your first
great,
con.
great. This is great. And that that was a time and a half. All of my horror stories and shenanigans are mostly from when I worked conventions, just because you see so much stuff behind the scenes that it's just like, it is a miracle that this happens every year, that these conventions can
Oh.
go off with as minimal hitches as humanly possible, because the behind the scenes people work so insanely hard, which is like, I'll see stuff when people are like, oh, this con, wah, they're not doing a good job. Like, there's still people behind the scenes who are working their butts off to make
Oh
it.
no, like the staffers and volunteers will bust their butts.
Volunteers, staffers, like, people want conventions to succeed. And like, I remember, Anime Expo, when I was working there,
Oh.
I think I slept for maybe like 4 hours every night. I was running like 20-hour days. I was cosplaying on top of it because I'm a masochist, I guess. But I guess, but like, I was working 20-hour days. It's a good day when you walk by somebody and it's like, have you eaten? And it's like, yes, I had a chicken wing like 3 hours ago. I'm
Just
doing
one
great
single
today.
chicken wing. I'm fine.
Just
I'm
a
I'm
chicken wing
doing I'm
in
just doing
passing.
I'm doing good. I'm not gonna pass.
No, and then you spend the next 3 days just like in a coma.
A chicken wing
It's just
coma.
like, nobody speak to me. I don't exist for 3 days.
I think you talked about a cosplay mishap you have, as we call it, the forbidden contact chip.
The forbidden potato chip. The
Forbidden tornado. If go back and listen to that one if you guys haven't watched that.
Please don't eat the
So
forbidden chip.
hashtag don't eat
Do
the
not put the
forbidden.
forbidden chip in your eye either.
Oh no. Favorite convention moment.
My
Like
favorite
it's like the like one of your the all-time favorite convention moment you remember to this day, and it's still a core memory. To quote, Inside Out.
honestly, I have a couple. The one that I mentioned earlier in this podcast of being noticed by the costume designer of Once Upon a Time was just
That's really cool, and the fact that
insane.
your now husband thought that was you of that
I
one
know.
it's like, wait, where did you post? Oh, that's not me.
Yeah, that was an incredible, incredible experience. And then, my favorite memories of cons are just hanging out. Another core memory that I have is from working at Anime Expo. Myself, my assistant at the time, and our programming director and I were all backstage at Cole Porter was a guest at Anime Expo one year, and I was helping out with the concert series. And we were all backstage, and we had been awake for like 19 hours at that time. It was like day three. And we
Keep
were
telling
all
the story. I gotta grab something to drink real
yeah.
quick.
It was like day three. We were all just exhausted. And, we looked out into the audience and we saw so many people having such a good time and just loving the concert experience that it kind of made all of the stress and all of the anxiety of trying to pull these concerts off worth it. And it's just kind of it was just that little sigh of relief of like, oh my God, we did it.
Despite Anime Expo just getting crazier and crazier over the years, no shade against Anime Expo. It's
No, there's some very hardworking staffers there.
those big cons just draw a lot of crowds.
Hard.
Whether you're a fan of anime or not, if you know a lot of people are going to it, it must be worth going to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people there who work their butts off, who care very much about the community, who are spending countless hours, countless sleepless hours, just throwing themselves into hoping that their attendees have a good time. And
that's all that matters.
And that's all that matters. And know that, if you're sitting there in a panel having a good time, if you are sitting at a concert series, like rocking out and just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person is here. That appreciation alone, the people who have worked for months and months and months and months and months and months doing the contracts, arranging the travel, making sure the guests are happy, making sure that the programs aren't weirdly cross-programmed with each other, are so happy that you are enjoying yourself.
And that's all that really matters.
Mhm.
So last but not least, as I always do when I end these things, any last minute advice or anything you'd like to throw out there for anyone who's watching this, whether, it's a cosplayer, a con attendee, just stuff in general that you want to throw out for cosplay and conventions?
Cosplay is for everyone. It does not matter your size. It does not matter what you look like. It does not matter your any ability, disability, whatever. Cosplay is for everyone. It does not matter if you are an exact screen replica or you are doing something based on clothes that you were able to pull out of your closet. If you are having fun and you are dressed up as a character, you are cosplaying. And that's what's most important,
And
is
I'm
that we don't gatekeep here. We're here to have fun. We're all
and
nerds dressing up
oh yeah, no,
anyway.
and I'm sure you will say this: if you're a cosplayer underage, be careful who you cosplay as.
Please be careful. Please be mindful. Please surround yourself with people that you absolutely 100% trust. Because it is a creepy world out there, but
Oh,
it's a world that's also very supportive.
I also forgot to mention, and I'm sure you can recommend this, is I call it, and it's probably one of my favorite things I've been saying. I even have a shirt of it. Always, and I'm sure you can probably agree, bring a convention exit buddy.
Yes, have an exit buddy. Do you have your exit
Exit
buddy?
buddy.
You need, if you are just going to a con in general, have an exit buddy. Even if it's just someone that's close by that you can call. Because like I've gone to cons by myself, but like I still have somebody that I'm like, hey, this is where I am. Please check in on me. Usually it's my mother.
Thanks,
But
thanks, mom.
thanks, mom. Uh, but yeah, that and random cosplay like clothing advice for any individuals who decide to wear corsets. If you are wearing a corset, I beg of you, wear that for a few days in like brief periods of like 2 to 3 hour stretches at a time. Do
Same if
not break
you're
out a new corset.
same if you're wearing heels. Wear that shit at home before you
Don't
go to
wear
a
stuff
con.
that you need to quote unquote break in for the first time at the con. Just don't do it. Your
Because next
body will
thing you
thank
know,
you.
you're gonna have sores in your body and you're gonna have blisters on your feet.
Epsom salt's your best friend, and
Oh yeah,
Advil.
well that too. And then once you're done, go home, go to the hotel, take a shower,
Take a bath.
take a bath, take a bath with a bath bomb, whatever. Have just definitely relax after a con because let's face
Yeah.
it, even after one day of a con, you're just like,
You're running on adrenaline for 72 hours. Like, it's okay to rest. It's okay to breathe.
oh, wholeheartedly agree. So last but not least, as I asked in the cosplay contact one, um, pluggables. Would you like to drop your pluggables so people know where to find you on social media so they can stay up to date with your cosplays and convention stuff?
Absolutely. So you can find my cosplay content at Rocky Rants Cosplay on Instagram. If you would like to follow my cosplay TikTok, please follow me at Rocky Rants _cosplay. And if you're interested in any of my fandom stuff that's not cosplay oriented, more fanfic writing, memes, and such, you can follow me on Twitter at Rocky_Rants.
Links to those in the description below, and I do need to start putting links. I need to start. I forgot to do in the past few videos, but I forgot to put links on the other videos so people can
Just
find them.
link tree. It's like, okay, are you looking for the people in this episode? Here's
Oh
a
no,
link tree
link
to the
tree
link
has
tree
like
of the link
made it a
tree.
whole lot easier on me.
It's a whole link tree forest.
Oh yeah. And as always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.